to the Awesemo.com live before lock show. Got ourselves an 8-game MLB slate to hit on today. We're going to take you through all the finer points that you need to know. I'm Chris Spags, joined by my good pal, the Chubster, Josh Engelman. How are you doing, Josh?
I'm pretty good, actually. Flying solo tonight and tomorrow. The wife is off to the left coast. I could have used a weather report for San Francisco a bit earlier today, but she didn't land quite yet. So just diving deep into baseball.
So you're the real DFS bachelor,
I am today.
How much of that entails farting on the couch and just being gross?
I mean, it's not any different than a normal day to day for me. So
true. I guess you're not a type who would cork things up to please your loved one, I guess.
Not after a decade.
Fair enough. Standards drop by the year, even though the gifts get better for every anniversary.
I shouldn't talk about it, but she was the first one to let one slip originally. Completely accidentally, I might add. I can still picture the reaction on her face of just like shock and horror and like wide eyes. This was, within the first couple months that we were dating. But I was like, all right, cat's out of the bag. Here we go.
When I had an ex, I remember we had a bathroom in a hotel that was like a shared toilet / shower area. And that was the first time like I had really seen somebody go into the bathroom, like not my choice, but while I was in the shower. Those barriers coming down, very empowering, but I feel like with marriage, you got to get used to it. For dating, keep that separate as much as possible.
Yeah, it's impossible to avoid in marriage.
Yeah, shared quarters and lives and such, and hopes and dreams. I feel like all those things combined leads to gas situations.
It certainly does.
All right, let's talk about pitcher on today's slate. Obviously, there's a lot to choose from today. A lot of guys you're going to want to get some leverage on. So let's talk about how you're fading Justin Verlander. You think he's very overrated. I'm sure you're going to go on that take.
I would be shocked if I had less than the field.
Yeah, I am heavily above the field, even though he is going to be very popular everywhere. I just don't see any way around him today. Like, I don't think the upside's there for Corbin. I think you mentioned it when you popped onto the deeper dive very briefly. That you had him projected for 9 strikeouts and everybody else is at least 2 behind. I feel
it's even more now that I've updated since that show. Really? Since I was on. Yeah. 9.6 for Verlander. Second most is Eduardo Rodríguez at 7.2. So it's now 2.4 Ks above.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's up 0.4 of a strikeout just since I said that.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, there's really no reason to avoid him today. I think that'd be, tournament wise, I guess, what would you say there? Would you try to cut your ownership down a little bit in the hopes of maybe, I don't know, differentiating, or is it just, you're still going to be off the field on, half the field owning him?
So for me, when it comes to pitching, I like to prioritize pitching in that I want the guys that I think have the biggest ceiling, the guys that are cresting my target score as much as they possibly can, because I think that predicting pitching is a lot easier than predicting hitting. So I tend to get more of my best pitchers regardless of their ownership, and then the impact of what I'm doing gets borne out in stacks. So it'll end up putting me on some really weird teams just because of it, but there is no limit to the amount of Verlander that I can get today. He hits the target score percentage, which is 30 points for me on DK, 48% of the time. Second place is Pat Corbin at 14. Like, it's just not, they're not in the same range. And the last time this happened was not too long ago. Chris Sale, same scenario. And, not that I expect Verlander to go out and mow down 17 Tigers, but that's what I'm talking about here. Like, they're just, the gap between 1 and 2 is massive.
Yeah, Sale, for the sake of argument, I certainly advocated that, maybe it's possible to go against him there. I think what we saw with Arenado getting the home run on him at the end, like that was what I was hoping would happen maybe earlier in the game and happen more than once. Certainly didn't happen. But to me, that there was actually an argument to be made there, like, oh, these guys have pretty good power versus lefties. Like, if you look at the stats versus Eduardo Rodríguez, I think you could make a more compelling case to go there. For this one, for Detroit, like, I really don't see any reason at all. Like, there's no world or statistic you can point to. Maybe the fact that Verlander gives up more hard contact this year, I think that's something you could say is not ideal. Also, his home runs have come up a little bit as a result. But Detroit doesn't have anything to offer, and Verlander isn't giving up enough where it's going to be a sure thing that he even gives up, I would say a home run or anything like that. So, yeah, I really have no way to argue against it or for leverage with Detroit.
No, look, there are going to be plenty of times throughout this season where someone grades out like this on a slate and they get shellacked. Like every main starter is going to have a not great night once or twice throughout the entire season. Certainly could happen today. But more often than not, Justin Verlander is blowing through the 25 to 30 point threshold on DK and coming out on the other side as a guy that you absolutely have to have.
Yep, I agree. The projections back it out, the optimizers, everything. I think pretty much any projection you would plug into the system today would show you that. So, I have no argument there. I guess what else would you go to here, maybe as a pivot, if you were to try to get cute and go somewhere else? Patrick Corbin, is he a guy who appeals to you at all?
Yeah, he's a guy that I don't expect to be over the field on if the field stays around mid 30s where we have him right now, at least on DK. But same story basically across the board. I have more interest in Kenta Maeda. I have more interest in Eduardo Rodríguez, and after that, we're getting to what would be my fourth pitcher. So I'm just running out of ownership at that point. I like Corbin. He grades out well. Relative to salary, though, I think I can make a couple other choices.
Yeah, Maeda, I think there's an argument for. So one thing that jumped out to me, he's only been over 100 pitches once this season. I think that's what it was. I just kind of briefly looked. But his last 3 games, he hasn't been over 86 pitches, or he's only been at that number once, I think, out of the 3. So, it kind of worries me. And I guess, how do you quantify this stuff? Like, do you think he gets the work done quickly enough versus San Diego? And the Vegas total certainly supports them not putting a lot up there. Or is that something where you downgrade him a little bit because he's not going to be in there throwing deep like a guy like Verlander will?
It's taken into account for me. I set a specific amount of innings I expect him to pitch. In this case today, it's 5.9. So it's not as if I think that he's going like super deep in the game. And innings pitched is an input into the calculation of my target score. So it knows that he's not going to be out there all that often. The benefit for me right now is essentially just price, and that's more of a FanDuel thing than a DK thing. He's the 8th most expensive pitcher on FanDuel. I'm more than okay getting to Maeda at 8,300 no matter how long I think he's going to go, especially if he's getting half of the ownership of Erod. On DK, it's a little scarier at 9,200, but I still think that he pairs pretty well. I figure that I have, in the 30% range when all is said and done.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. I mean, I think with DK, that is sort of why I like Maeda on paper, but I have more Eduardo Rodríguez, even though I think he's a much riskier play. And that's also kind of why Chris Sale, I had some concerns yesterday going into it, because on paper, this Rockies aggregate lineup is pretty good versus left-hand pitching, even though the team as a whole on the year is not that good. And Rodríguez, I don't think the stuff is at the same caliber as Chris Sale's was, obviously. And I don't know, like Eduardo Rodríguez, I worry a lot more about. So if the prices were equitable, I think I'd get some more Maeda. But for DK, I feel like the savings there is too much on a night where you probably need higher price bats.
Yeah, I'm never comfortable going to Erod, and he's a guy that grades out better for me on a day-to-day basis than most. So I'm always a little nervous to go really crazy. He's just one of those guys that I know pops. He's like Harrison Barnes for me in basketball. I can't get away from that guy.
I'm actually with you on that one. I hated that when he was on the Kings because I really didn't trust the numbers then.
Every team, the entire time, it's just something about him. I don't know what it is. I actually just ran both my crunches, FanDuel and DK, and have them updated as best I can tell. So let's find out where I actually stand since we're talking about Maeda. 27% Maeda on DK, where we're projecting 19. Corbin, 7%. So that went about as expected.
Okay. Anybody else popping up for you, I guess, significantly above what you'd like them to be? Because I can tell you one guy who I got a lot because of optimizers, and I'm riding with it, even though I really don't like it on paper, and I see no reason why I'm doing it besides just makes things work. Jose Urania on DK is in a ton of lineups for me today.
I have him.
Yeah, I'm above the field's 20% projected ownership on DK. I guess why would you think it's okay to get there today?
I mean, I have 16%, so I'm not in love with it. He's the best of a bad situation. There's not really anything great below Erod, in my opinion. And Urena is sort of like the best of that, but only at 5,300. So you get a little bit of wiggle room. You're basically hoping that he doesn't go out there and die.
Yeah, not much.
Both literally and figuratively.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, as long as he gets through a handful of innings with a pulse, I guess the hope is there and doesn't get you negatives. I think that would be nice, which he would do if he would not getting the negatives, if he just had a, congenital heart defect on the mound, I guess. So that, I don't, not to root for that, obviously.
Exactly.
He had the old Dredrick Tatum special when Homer imagines that in The Simpsons when he's going to box him. I think that could work out. Yeah, I hate Urania. I'm getting there. I would like to be able to afford more Jalen Beeks. I think he's in a perfectly okay spot, sort of a similar situation to what Charlie Morton was yesterday, where it's hard to imagine him being completely worthless in a way where I could easily imagine Urania being. I don't know. I just don't. I hate the amount of Urania I have, but I think 30% right now, which feels bad.
I mean, it's better than being like, I got some Michael Wacha and some Gio Gonzalez. Like, if you're gonna take the stand, I think it's fine to take it at 5,300. Normally, I would probably scoff at having 30% Urania on this spot, but I mean, I have 16, and it could have just as easily said 30, and I wouldn't have freaked out. So.
Okay, so all right, so that makes you feel a little bit better about it. I don't mind Gio here. The Vegas total doesn't really support Gio, and I think his numbers seem a little bit unsustainable going back to last year. I mean, he certainly could have changed some things, and I think that'd be great, but I'm kind of not buying in versus Philly quite so much.
I just don't see the need to spend 7,300 to figure it out. Like, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to go to Beeks, which I did. I have 13% Beeks right now. But yeah, like if Gio were, 6,200, I might have a little bit more interest, and he might be really viable as a pay down and get me a little bit off of Urena. But if I'm going to go to 7,300, I'll just save the 2K. And, I mean, I have Gio and Urena separated by a half point. Like, I'm not going to spend another $2,000 for that.
Yeah, actually, we actually have Urania projected for more than Gio on the Osmo projections too. So
there you go.
Not a great cosign for Gio, I guess.
Not so much, no.
Another guy who doesn't have a great cosign today, Herman Marquez going against Boston. He gets 5 implied runs against him. He's so good outside of cores and in cores, and his numbers grade out really well to swinging strikes. And the strikeout results maybe not there quite as much as they could be, but everything to me looks good here. But going against Boston, who is a buzzsaw, any Herman Marquez for you today?
I wish I had more. I like him after all, like the line movements and getting in all of the updated lineups. He grades out as my 5th best starter relative to salary. And at that point, it's just really hard to get volume unless you're going all the way down. So I only have 1% of him on DK. I have 5% on FanDuel. I wish that I had more. I like him. There are basically only 6 pitchers that I even like today. He happened to be one of them. He's just a casualty of too many dudes above 8,200.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the price isn't quite as appealing as you would want. I mean, if he were like Eduardo Rodríguez numbers, I could see wanting to get to him over Eduardo, even despite the Vegas total. But yeah, it's hard to afford him at that level, like going against Boston too. And he'd be a nice pivot on another night, but not against Boston, not at that price.
Like, he has the 5th highest target score percentage for me, and he's 5th relative to salary. So it's just really hard to climb that table when you're that far behind a couple guys. By the way, 93% Justin Verlander.
Look, that's about where I am too. I just don't see why you wouldn't go there. It's a build where I can't imagine a lineup build where Verlander's not going to get you to the more projected or project more points than that.
Yeah, I'm willing to die there. I died on the Chris Archer hill on the early slate, so might as well try it again.
Yeah, I guess let's talk about, we could circle back to more pitchers. And obviously, if you guys have questions, drop them in the YouTube chat or the premium Slack. And if you're not a premium member of Osmo.com, use that promo code live before lock, get half off your first month on any package, get all the ownership projections, rankings, get the deep dive column every day, a lot of great content. Osmo's top stacks, which we've talked a lot about content-wise recently. Actually, do you want to pull those up? Or do you have those in front of you?
I can. I just got an error when I tried to save my sheet, so I'm going to try and save myself here.
Okay, yeah, the stacks just got an update 13 minutes ago. So those are another thing which are updated throughout the day as well now. And we haven't done, we're trying to promote it more on shows, but it's not as prominently featured on the site because of all the stuff that we have going on there. But it's under the MLB tab. If you go to the site, Osmos Top Stacks, right underneath MLB DFS projections, it'll take you there. And each day it gives you the top stack or the likelihood of each one being a top stack on the day, the ownership percentage for the stack, the percentage likelihood of it being a top value. A lot of valuable things there for Yahoo, FanDuel, and DK. So every site out there. So I'd really recommend that if you're a premium member. And if you're not a premium member, that promo code live before lock, go check it out.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm pulling them up right now.
So I'll start talking about it while you pull it up. So right now on DraftKings, the most likely stack here, and it's going to be a real shocker for you guys out there. Houston, who has there's a run total still 6.5? Yeah, 6.5 implied runs on the day. The highest on the slate by, I believe, 1.5 the last I checked, above Atlanta. So everything on their side, they are the best hitting team against both lefties and righties on the year in the league. I just going against Gregory Soto, a guy who was very bad in his first start coming up. He's also been bad longitudinally as well. I don't know, Josh, any reason why Houston wouldn't be your number one stack today?
They are not my number one stack.
Oh, okay. All right, we're going there. Let's see. What is it?
Okay, so yes, they are. They would be my expectation for the top scoring stack.
Okay.
And they are tied with the Brewers dollar for dollar on DraftKings. They are second behind the Brewers on FanDuel. I have half of the field of the Astros on DraftKings right now.
Wow. Okay.
I am more than double the field on the Brewers, much like yesterday.
I mean, the Brewers take, okay, so the Brewers take, I agreed with you on Aaron Nola Day. I did not agree with you on who was the one in between.
I don't know, was Nola yesterday?
Nola was 2 days ago.
Okay, well, it went well yesterday.
Yesterday was against Eichhoff. Yeah, Jake and I didn't agree with that. And I remembered, I did see you talking about it on the strategy show. And we talked about how we didn't agree with it. And they got to Eichhoff. I knew it was possible, but I wanted to believe.
I mean, that team just hits dongs, and that's everything that matters. I don't need a bunch of guys to go 2 for 4.
So you said something recently, I think, in the premium Slack where you're talking about noticing perhaps you wanted to look more at home run per plate appearance. Is that why you're going to lots of Brewers?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's something which I've been trying to look at more when I saw you say that, and worked out well for me yesterday. So, okay. All right. We're on the same page. And I get it. There's a lot of guys who can hit home runs in that middle of the order. Give me an argument to which guys you like the most in that stack.
Brewers?
Yeah.
Let's see. Moustakas, Braun. I mean, basically, that's not sorted the right way. Let's just say everyone but Yelich and Aguiar. Not that I don't like those two, but the other 6 guys I have like 10 to 15% of, and more than double the field on most. Whereas for Yelich and Aguiar, I'm basically just with the field because they're a little chalkier.
Okay, interesting. All right. I don't really. What about Hura? Or how do you project a guy, or how do you deal with a guy like that who has a lot of good reviews down, and he is a top prospect? Still pretty cheap. Is he a guy you're getting more of or less of?
More of. I have 16% right now, which is about 3 times the field.
Okay.
I just want to have as many Brewers as I can get because they have upside that rivals the Astros relative to their own salary.
I like the take. I get it. I would still, I feel like I don't get the part of not playing more Yelich than the field, because like I think he has the upside that, like, if a guy's going to have a monster day, I would think it's Yelich. But I guess exciting. Wait, give me your thoughts on why would you have just the field on Yelich, and why would you go above on him too?
So I don't generally get to like really high numbers of any hitter that is getting ownership. It's just a natural way that my stuff sorts out. Him being 5,700 just sort of makes him hard to get to fit with the rest of everyone that gets stacked. Now he grades out as, my best Brewer. I don't want it to seem like I don't like Yelich. I have the exact same amount as what we have projected right now. So this best ever character in chat's just doing a great job of listening to nothing whatsoever. I have the same amount as the field of Christian Yelich. It's not that I don't like him, but relative to the field, I liked everybody else more because those guys aren't getting owned. They're 2 separate things. I can tell you who I think is really good, and I can tell you how I'm playing tonight. They're not necessarily the same thing.
Yeah.
But,
okay. I get it.
What was the original question?
No, I think you explained it, because I was just curious why you weren't going more on Yelich too. But I get your point that if he's going to be owned, that it makes sense to try to get the other guys who are not going to have ownership but have theoretical power production too.
He's sort of just a tough fit. Like I find the gap between most players to be more narrow than I think other people do. Like like your random set. Like I have 19% Manny Pena right now. The public is at 6. I'm fine when that sort of stuff happens as part of one of my highly owned stacks, because I think people are too quick to disregard like the bottom of the lineup or guys that aren't necessarily good, even though what you're looking for when you're trying to stack up a team is like a real outlier performance where everybody ends up being like a part of the party. So normally I'm not going to get to anybody that has a ton of ownership as a hitter, especially on like an 8-game slate.
Interesting. Okay. I get where you're going with that, I guess. Yeah, the Pena thing. So a guy who's like underneath league average for home runs, I mean, just barely for Pena's case, but like for Arcia, who's significantly underneath that, is he a guy you would downgrade at all, or just naturally you let the projections do that part?
I just let the projection handle it. Like I have 7% of him right now.
Okay. So you're still 7x the field on him, but it's not that meaningful.
Yeah, like that's that. I won't bat an eye at that. If I got like 45 or something crazy, I'd be like, what's going on here? I mean, I wouldn't expect to, just because I know like his ownership caps and stuff, but I'm willing to take big stands like 1 to 9 in stacks that grade out well for me. And for the Brewers, particularly on DK, where they're also getting a little bit of ownership to the pitcher, they're just pulling up even faster.
Chris Huppert in the YouTube chat. I fell asleep watching the strategy show this afternoon and woke up to Spags' voice on the Four Corners video. That is dedication if you are falling asleep to our voices and then waking up to them.
That is
we
scary.
Appreciate it. That is, yeah, a terrifying idea of us infiltrating people's dreams somewhere, like podcasts that I fall asleep listening to do.
That's what we're doing. We're incepting bad DFS takes into your brains.
Yeah. That's there's a lot of bad takes out there. I feel like our hit rate is as good as anybody's out there, I would say.
I hope so.
Your Brewers takes, look, Jake and I actively disagreed with it, even though I kind of got where you're coming from with it. To me, that was more of like a handedness matchup thing, and Nikoff being perhaps due for some negative regression. But I think you explained it. I was curious to hear your thoughts on why you're doing that, and I guess it does explain that the power is there.
Yeah, and not to mention, it's a fantastic home run park. Philly is about as good as it gets.
Okay, interesting. I guess on that take then, are you going with Philly against Gio Gonzalez at all?
I'm with the field on DK and just slightly above on FanDuel. They grade out okay. There's not a lot of leverage to be had since no one has Gio, so they just kind of are a team that gets filled into like the rest of my primaries.
Here's a question from Jimmy in the YouTube chat. My question about ownership: it was said that Sale would be 60% yesterday. I played in the $1,590 FanDuel tournament, and he was 20%. Same as Caleb Smith, who was the pivot. So are the ownerships on the super high dollar tournament hard to project? You might know how to answer this one better than I do, because I'm surprised with that result.
No, they're just not for the $1,590 tournament on FanDuel. You're seeing one set of ownership for what essentially amounts to like the most popular max entry tournament that exists for each site. I don't know them off the top of my head. It's like the $5 or the $8 on DK, somewhere in that area on FanDuel. You know, the one that is most accessible from every direction. You're going to see the ownerships change a little bit more, whether you go low or high in different directions. The lower you go, the flatter it's more likely to be. The higher you go, the more it's likely to be like cash, where you'll see extremes.
Yeah, okay, that seems fair.
Although,
and I also
although what you just outlined is sort of the opposite of what I would have expected. So.
Yeah, I guess maybe for baseball, people are trying to outsmart the chalk pitcher a little more. Because like for basketball, I would think if you had like, let's say the Sale equivalent is Giannis on a given day, where it's like a perfect match, he's going against the Hawks or something, and it's kind of all lines up right. Like that guy would be pretty highly owned, I would think, in a basketball, like a high money tournament. But maybe people just wanted to get some Rocky stacks to differentiate.
We also just can't look at one individual ownership percentage in one individual slate.
Yeah. The general rule of thumb, though, is high dollar tournaments are people who are a little more savvy. So the ownership tends to be more concentrated on good chalk, generally.
Yeah, you don't get too many fish in the 1590 on FanDuel.
No. Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not you, Jimmy. Don't be the fish. That's a dangerous waters to be hanging out in.
Yeah. Good luck, I guess.
Yeah. I guess just in general tournament stuff. We'll do home run picks in a second. General tournament thoughts. The lowest stakes tournament. We talk about this in general, and it's in a lot of things. Osmos contest selection article on the site, very helpful. The primers and stuff, a lot of those very helpful. The tournaments you can afford the most to get all the max entries into, those are the ones to target. So not that Jimmy, not that you or anybody else out there can't handle yourself in a $1,600 entry tournament, but just make sure you're playing at the level, like at your own depth. Don't overthink that part too much.
Yeah, I talk about it as much as I possibly can, but it bears out in ROI charts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm fully on that. All right, we're at the halfway point of the show, which is now becoming dreadful to do with you. With Jake, it was like a support group yesterday where we got to talk about just the pains of us both collectively having the same amount of home runs as both you and Emax singularly. But that's how it goes. Baseball's a game of variance, and Jake and I were on top last year, and currently Josh and Emac are both tied with 7 on top of the board. I am behind them at 4, and Jake is behind me at 3. So Josh, you are in the catbird seat. I'll let you go first.
I'll let you guys stay behind each other.
Emotional support. It's like a trust fall thing, not whatever direction you were taking it.
Yeah, okay. Didn't even go to this school. Sorry, trust falls from Mean Girls. I rewatched Mean Girls recently because they had it on the Rewatchables podcast. Yeah.
I saw it recently, or not recently, but within the last year at an outdoor movie thing in LA, and it's still a great movie. Honestly,
it's really good. Well. It's funny, and dime pieces. All right.
There are
home run pick. I don't know why Bryce Harper is not highlighted in red in that lefty-lefty matchup. That's kind of annoying. It looks like I broke one of my conditional formattings, but I'm not going to let that get me down. I feel like I need to go to a Brewer, right? Since I'm Team Brewers today.
Prove your theories.
I don't like no one. I don't have anybody at the top of the home run model that I have like a ton of at least on FanDuel, comparatively speaking to the public. I like taking somebody that I'm like massively over the field on so that I can like double cheer for it. Because last year I used to take a bunch of guys and be like, oh, I have 1% of him, and when he goes yard, it negatively affects me instead of positively affects me.
Seems like Keston Hiura would be the guy.
It is not going to be him.
I like the rookies. I like when I had Nicky Lopez yesterday, and I was rooting for him. I like when they get a home run in their first game. It's fun.
All right. He went yard yesterday. Give me Moose Tacos.
All right.
Last time I tried to take Moose Tacos, I switched it, and then Moose Tacos went yard.
All right, so no regrets for you today. I'm going to go with Joey Gallo, or Joseph Q. Gallo, his formal name. I don't know if he's a Joseph or a Q. But
number 2 in the model.
He is. Thank God. I need to. That was one where so I've been playing it straight where I have a similar model to Josh's, that I think the kind of a comparable base. And I've really been ignoring it this year and going with Vegas total guys or guys I have the most of. I am not doing that anymore. I'm playing it straight. And Joey Gallo, to me, has one of the better probabilities on the day.
Yeah, the only problem is park factor. He's normally first. Today just happens to be second behind Arenado. But, still Joey Gallo.
Arenado, who got over a 400 ISO going back to last year because of that home run he hit yesterday, which is Arenado's, I wouldn't say underappreciated or underrated, but he's underappreciated in terms of his genius outside of Coors too. Why
is Emax saying I'm not a believer?
Oh, yeah. So, I was going to read Emax pick. I would like Juan Soto because the Chubster is not a believer. Apparently, you hate Juan Soto.
Grades out real well for me. Big Juan Soto fan. Juan Soto coming in 19th in the model today.
All right. And if Jake is in the chat, I don't know if he, let's see. No, he's talking, but he's not putting his home run pick. If you have a home run pick, Jake, now's your time. Yeah.
Emax stepped in crap last night. Vogelbach, lefty dong.
That was Monday night.
Was it Monday night? I can't keep track of days.
No, I only know because I have the sheet in front of me, and we had it. It was backwards. You put in for Sunday your guys' home run picks for Monday, so I got confused, and I was like, I don't know.
Tomorrow, I have a lot of time on my hands to do administrative type tasks. I am going to clean that sheet up and make it better.
Okay. I'll believe it when I see it. I've heard that before. Your HGTV renovations on the sheet. Which
Well, I did a half one. It counts all the numbers and stuff now by manually. We don't have to like tally that up on our own.
Though it doesn't have one for double dongs, because that one day you got a double dong and it doesn't count twos as a different color.
I got it. Don't worry. I've got the plan in the old noodle. I just got to remember to do it. And tomorrow's going to be the day. Dropping the dogs off at daycare. They're having a spa day. I'm going to head to a coffee shop, relax, get some work done. It's going to be a good one.
That'll be nice. Have a little bubble bath for yourself.
A little Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to have enough time.
It's important. That's an important thing for both you and Will Ferrell in Old School.
Okay, we're going to have a conversation. Jake's taking Willie Calhoun.
Oh, I actually don't hate that pick.
Willie Calhoun coming in 53rd.
Yeah, he's got the lefty matchup though versus Jorge Lopez, so I get it. Not the guy I would go with. Joey Gallo is certainly, I would say, ahead of that. But no,
or did someone take him?
Oh, Jake.
Yeah, we all beat you to him, Jake.
Yeah, he is under a league average home run hitter, 2.7% rate versus righties. Whereas the other Texas players, Shin-Soo Choo, 3.9%, Nomar Mazara, 3.5%, Joey Gallo with a juicy 6.6%, Cabrera, 4.8%, Odor, 3.8%, everybody there. Guzman, 4.5%. So Jake really did pick the worst guy besides Logan Forsythe, I guess. Jeff Mathis, too. Might have been a fun one.
Wait, are we talking like worst guy on the Rangers?
Yeah, on the Rangers. So, Jake was still in the bottom 33rd percentile.
Mathis
overall.
Is at the ass end of this one. He is 5th from the bottom.
So, a guy like Mathis, you talked about Pena. Would you take Mathis in a sack if you just had like a 5-man Texas stack going on?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I have a lot of Mathis and I hate it because he sucks.
I assume I have a bunch as well. I have 15% Mathis. How's that for you?
Oh, that actually makes me feel a little bit better because I deliberately went away to Chirinos instead because I was just like, I don't want to have this much Mathis.
I have 26% Willie Calhoun on DraftKings right now. So what up, Jake? Go Willie. Let's go.
Willie Calhoun might be pretty owned based upon the YouTube chat right now. E-Rush saying, let's go, Jake. Love Willie today. Chad, love the Willie Calhoun pick. Vince saying, I love Calhoun. I hope Calhoun is right.
Jake says, Calhoun triple dong. I'll eat my words. I hope he does. I have 26 times the field right now if our ownership is to be believed.
Yeah, I got a lot of Calhoun too. I don't hate it. He's got a good name. You're like a good 1950s player name. I guess he wouldn't have played in the 50s.
William Calhoun Esquire.
Is he? Well, he's not an Esquire, right?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying maybe he's like real fancy.
I don't know. I don't know if I was thinking fancy. I was thinking more like a scrappy kind of, like a good major league style hitter from the movie Major League.
Thanks.
I wanted to clarify. I forgot I'm not on the show with Jake, who has not seen Major League or anything pop culture
heartbreaking.
related.
Finding Nemo and stuff.
Vogelbach homered last night too. Okay, well nobody picked him in our home run game, so that's less relevant. Man, Willie, geez, a lot of Willie support. Yeah, hit the like button, by the way. T. McBee, thank you in the chat. One of our regulars who's a good boy all around, or good man, good gentleman.
Boy, I'm confident he's older than the two of us.
Possibly. Call anybody boy. I feel like that's not, as long as it doesn't have racial connotations, we're fine. But hit that like button. We appreciate it. We're here every single day for you guys, giving out this content for free on YouTube. So please support the show, support the channel, help us keep the lights on. Go to the like button in there. We've got a little check mark. We're verified now, so you have to legally give us a like. I think that's how that works.
It is pretty cool that we're verified since some other people aren't.
Some people out in the industry, which surprises me. I think you just get it naturally, at some point. But
no, well, sometimes you're just not as good as us.
That could be it. Who knows? All right. What else are you getting that's weird in your crunches that are not weird, but that we haven't talked about that you're getting at some sort of volume, either pitcher or stack wise?
That's a good question.
Calhoun's not on FanDuel? Really?
No. I have twice the field of Padres. Half the field of the Astros. A little bit over the field on the Phillies. I got a lot of Rockies.
Okay. That's
comparatively to double the field, just in case that goes wrong. Mostly Brewers on DK. On FanDuel, a lot of Rockies. Double the field on the Mets. Yeah, nothing crazy. More of my weirdness is fades than it is me doing anything big.
Yeah, the Mets. So yeah, I feel like you're just, now that I know what you're doing for the most part with your percentages, I feel like the leverage part of it makes sense why you'd have Mets and why you'd have Colorado and all that. Which would you say you could make the better argument for in terms of like, I guess, I don't know. Well, I'll say it then. I think you make a better argument for Colorado than I think you can in the Mets.
I would agree.
Yeah, like so Corbin, I think, is in a pretty good spot here. The Mets, versus lefties on the year, striking out 28.2% of the time. The Rockies lineup. So I just want to point this out real fast. So like Lofty's talked about on the deep dive as well, or the deeper dive rather. But like I also, I think most of us have, Josh, you can see his sheet on the screen, have color coded sheets, and it tells you when, various teams are coming out as like they project better, or they're hitting at the top of the teams and whatever in the rankings. And the Rockies versus left-hand pitching, their actual lineup that's in there, not their performance on the year. They have a 356 on base percentage, a 228 ISO, K rate of 25.1%, still in that lineup, which is not the best, but 119 WRC plus, 290 batting average. Like that's what I saw yesterday versus Sale, which kind of gave me some pause. I think Rodriguez, we talked about a little bit earlier, but I think his stuff is not as good and not as avoidable as Sales is. I think he's in a spot where he could easily get blown up here. So I would love to go to Colorado. I didn't do it a ton though.
Yeah, the Rockies are actually my third best stack dollar for dollar on FanDuel. We're projecting them for, I'm just saying, like 30% total added together, each individual number added together, and I have 90. So I have like 3 times the field on FanDuel. And I'm equal to the field on Erod, so covering both bases on that one. He is prone to getting absolutely tagged, so...
Yeah, I mean, the home run rate versus lefties jumps out as particularly bad. 4.6% rate going back to last year. Not that benefits a lot of guys in that lineup, but Blackman, Tapia, guys who do have that power, I think could be interesting here because people probably aren't going to go to the lefties in this lineup, especially. So you got a question here in chat. How's the Nats tonight? So I thought for a second this was the guy who was mad. I think you were on the stream. No, it was when I was on with EMAC. This guy got really mad about the Nats stack, I guess, when you guys had a show on Friday. Jake had mentioned the Nats. And I was confused because the day before I had talked about the Nats in content and I liked them a lot and they'd actually done well. So I was baffled. But this guy really was like mad at the fact that we always tout the Nats. So maybe we need a special corner here to talk about the Nationals. What do you think about the Nationals today, Josh?
They are my second most owned stack on DraftKings.
Okay, that's a big cosign. So we're touting the Nationals again then.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty owned as well. So, kind of like I explained before, I have a lot more like Yan Gomes and Wilmer Defoe than I do over the field on anybody else. I'm just kind of flat on them, except for Howie Kendrick. I essentially don't have him.
Why do you always hate Howie Kendrick?
I mean, one, he's not good. That usually makes it pretty easy. For 2, like I'm not going to play Howie Kendrick ahead of Anthony Rendon at third base, and I'm not going to play him ahead of a $2,900 Brian Dozier at second base. So I'm just kind of out of places to put Howie Kendrick, except for the bench.
Okay, so here's my argument for Howie Kendrick, which we'll do again. So 190 plate appearances going back to last year versus righties. Howie Kendrick, batting average 312, on base percentage 358. BABIP 333, isolated power 204, home run rate 3.7%. So, and also on the year against everybody, 360 on base percentage, 302 batting average, 244 ISO, and 282 BABIP, which isn't that great. 132 WRC plus, 6% home run rate. Why Howie Kendrick hate? It's unfair.
I think it's pretty fair. He's a average at best hitter that has had no power for 15 years.
He's in the league 15 years, is he?
I mean, he's probably been a prospect for 15 years, if I had to guess.
I mean, I do remember that name. He was on like the Angels when they won World Series. And oh my God, he's 35.
In 2006, so I assume I'm more right than wrong on that one.
Yeah, he's 35 years old. His spouse is Jody Kendrick. They've been married for 12 years, so good for them. She farts in front of him for sure.
Yeah, he's never been that guy in his entire career. I don't really think he is now. Unless he's on the gas. Okay. No one told me.
Oh, that's so that was a topic Jake and I talked about yesterday. If you had to guess, well, I guess you don't follow the year-to-year statistics quite as much, but if you had to guess a team this year who suddenly is on steroids collectively as a unit, who would it be?
wouldn't even be able to tell you a team. Like I don't know. I don't know who's doing well.
Okay. So I said the Twins, which is unfortunate because they are Jake's team. But like if you look
they
at their
are
numbers,
not Jake's team.
They are the Minnesota Jakes for a reason. They're named for him. How could
That's true. But
yeah, I think it would be them because if you look at their numbers going back to last year as like a larger sample size thing and compare them to the ones for this year, like it's a drastic difference to the point where like I don't know, like they could have a new hitting coach. Maybe they have the launch angles. They're embracing the launch angle revolution, which is the thing. But Howie Kendrick could be on the Minnesota Twins plan. Maybe, hopefully,
could be.
I just like every time I play him, he does something good for me. Except that one day I picked him for a home run. That day he did not offer a lot, but
yeah, he's unplayable to me on DraftKings. He's unplayable to me on all. Well, he's more playable on FanDuel or on Yahoo, where he's actually a first baseman and no one else plays that position. But he's at best the second best option at every other site.
Okay. I'll defend Howie and pretty much every show because he always grids out well for me. And I've only been tracking super closely all the stuff for the year and change now, and he's always been a guy who I enjoy the antics of. And also Howie Mandel. I like both those Howies.
I'll take my chances.
Howie Rose, the Mets announcer, also a guy who was on my old podcast before too. Tommy LaStella is a popular candidate for
today.
For what?
Donged again today.
Oh, his rate, I think his rate going, I don't have his numbers in front of me, but I feel like he was under 2% and now he's like above like a 9% home run rate on the year. So that's normal.
He's just, I don't know. Well, hopefully he's good, I guess. Make that team better.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, I was seeing Laffy's chat and was confused. All right, looking at the questions. Nothing right now. You want to build a lineup? I feel like we kind of burned through all the stuff.
14 teams for Edwin Jackson.
Oh, because you said 17 on our call today. That's why.
I knew that it was like something teen and higher than it should have been. Fascinating. Yeah, we could build a lineup. Is that Padres lineup out yet?
Let me see. Nope, it is not. They're the slackers. They're the Astros of the year, where like it was always the Astros last year. This year it's the Padres.
For some reason, I cannot save my sheet.
That's not ideal.
No, like no matter where I try to save it, so trying to hold out on that one.
Anthony Fila saying, I was driving today and heard the Yankees announcer with so many nicknames today. Remember you guys talking about it? Yeah, somebody tagged us in the premium Slack about the Gleyber Torres one is like a good Gleyber Torres is there.
God.
Look, the fact that he could always come up with them, though somebody said he didn't have one for Cameron Maybin, which seems weird. Like, I think you have one, at least traditionally, he's always had one the second that the guys were on the roster, because that's like the creepy thing that he does.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. All right, let me pull up lineup builder.
Oh, also, we kind of segued off the top stacks thing, but just so people kind of know, because it is a premium feature, but just the top three for you guys. Houston, Texas, and Atlanta are the top three on DK. And then on FanDuel, it is Houston, Texas, and Boston. So, and on Yahoo, it is Houston, Texas, and Boston as well. So,
Padres lineup just came out. Cross your fingers that I don't have to make any changes here, because I've got a lot of Padres. Greg Garcia, Franmil, Manny, Hosmer, Renfroe, France, Margot, and Allen. So Manny, Margot, and Austin Allen in for Will Myers and Austin Hedges. Both of their catchers are named Austin? How the fuck do you pull that off?
And there are two Austins on the slate today with Austin Riley for the Braves also debuting.
13% Austin Hedges, so that's fantastic. It should be a fun fix.
Can't just swap them over to the new Austin?
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Just get some new Austin.
I'm not recrunching this stuff, even though I have plenty of time. It's too much work.
I generally support that as a concept.
And I assume that I can move Will Myers' ownership directly to Manny Margot and be good to go.
I'm actually adding this lineup in because I just want to see how good or bad Austin Allen is, because I haven't had him on a slate yet.
Every time, Josh, you learn no lessons. I never click the stupid make another replace button on FanDuel. I always click OK, and it takes you like all the way back to the main screen of FanDuel for reasons that I'll never know. Both sites have really garbage mechanisms of replacing players. Let's put that out there right now.
I would agree. Oh, okay. Austin Allen, if you're curious about him like I am, 5 at-bats versus a righty. So a big old sample size there. 250 batting average, 400 on base, ISO of 0.00. So he'll get there. But he also hasn't struck out yet. So these numbers keep up, he'll be an interesting player.
Is he really not available on DraftKings, or am I crazy?
No, they have a salary for him on the site that I get lineups from.
If I type in Austin to replace him, what is his salary?
$3K.
Jesus, so he's $300 more expensive than Austin Hedges.
Oh, that's not ideal.
Fantastic. Guess who's re-crunching DK?
That sucks. At least he's Manny Pena's price, so just swap him out for Manny for him.
No, I'll just re-crunch because it's $650.
No, just swap him out. I want to see if Austin Allen. Let's see, Austin. Yeah, he comes up. He comes up on DK.
Oh yeah, he does. But I'm trying to replace a $2,700 player with a $3K player, and he won't show up because he's above that. Even if I have more salary to put him in there,
it's not the most intuitive process sometimes with that. I agree.
Yeah, so it's a pain in the bum hole. I'd love to build a lineup, but I'm building my own first.
Hold on. This guy, Cancer33, saying it's Mabin music is Cameron Mabin's. I think you're just suggesting that. I don't think he knows Maybach music. I don't think that he would. It's not a John Sterling reference.
That would be great if he did, though.
I would support that fully. Like, update your references for anybody. I think that's the thing, too, as you get older. Like, Bill Simmons, I love him more than anything in terms of, like, the amount of content I consume. And he, like, makes a lot of dated references still. But he updates. He has other ones that are newer. But I feel like you got to keep your references updated. So if he's going to Maybach music, I support that fully.
I agree.
Better than the Grandy man can.
Big Rick Ross fan here.
Is Odor finally going to be good again? Hard to say, but he's been hitting home runs at a rate around league average. So that's what I cared about more today when thinking about it.
The wife wanted me to take Rick Ross pretty early in my death pool back in the day because he wasn't in a great way health wise, and then he dropped all those LBs and now he's like lean.
Yeah, probably had some loose skin though.
That's my story.
Yeah, the story of loose skin, or
no, the story of
Rick Ross
of Rick Ross.
Yeah. I appreciate your wife scouting for you. That's what love is, scouting for your death pool.
I totally agree. What's Hedges was the catcher, right?
Austin Allen.
Yeah. I'm just replacing Austin Allen in our ownership. So
it's a very generic name. It's a very generic name.
It really is. And I do not want to do this right now. This is super annoying.
Super annoying to have to do lineups before lineups lock.
I did all the work. It is super annoying because I did the right work. DraftKings makes it impossible to quickly and efficiently make this fix.
Or while you do that, our guy Dave in the premium Slack, and if you're not a premium member, again, use that promo code live before lock for half off your first month. Premium Slack is a big part of that. A lot of people in there talking every day, including us. We're all in there. Josh's office hours. A lot of the guys are popping in for those. And we are just in the chat available whenever you tag us. So, well, not whenever, but within reason. If you're tagging us all the time, it might be a little weird.
Don't answer questions for Dave.
I like Dave. Dave is always cool for me. Dave's one of my favorites. He's an eccentric genius in his own way.
I'm team Dave, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's some guys out there. I mean, not really many in the chat. Well, maybe one or two who I go like, ugh, come on. But most of the guys are really.
That one's just legalized for me.
I saw he left premium basketball today. I hope he's not.
I'm smiling right into the camera. I yelled at him today.
Why?
Long story.
Okay. Dr. Miles kind of chafes me a little bit sometimes, but
ooh,
a lot of hate. He says interesting things.
Shots fired to the doc.
Well, I see sometimes that people talk crap without tagging me. I know. I'm here. I pay attention.
I'm super excited to see where Premium Slack goes in like 15 seconds when everything that we just said goes through.
Well, while we're doing that, let's see what Dave's question is, or I guess I already know it is. Thoughts on Jalen Beeks? We talked about him today, but what would you do with him on FanDuel, where it's a single pitcher site and you're making a real stand there by going to him?
I have like 10%.
Okay, yeah. On DK, I have no problem with going more than that, but on FanDuel, I would find it hard to just not go Verlander personally.
I only have like 30% Verlander on FanDuel.
Oh, that's right, because he's so expensive there, right? He's like 12K or something.
Yeah.
11K? Yeah.
Here we go. Chat's starting to get it.
Paul Blackburn of the night for our guy McCod. Of course, the Paul Blackburn of the night is a historical award given to the pitcher who is the worst, but also capable of being in a tournament-winning lineup, and I guess also cheap. So those three criteria. Who would be the Paul Blackburn pick? For me, it's Jose Urena.
I mean, I guess it's Urena for me, but if 22% of the public is on him, are we really right?
Yeah.
Give me Jorge Lopez.
Dr. Miles, that seems like a fair take. Yeah, look, as long as you agree. I don't think I'm being rude. I think Dr. Miles just is a bit of a know-it-all. I see people like getting chirpy with him in the Slack. Again, premium Slack's a lot of fun. A little community in there, for sure, active.
I love this. I'm so excited for this. We are scorching the earth right now. YouTube chat, you have no idea. You guys are just out there spouting awfulness, and then you get to pay to spout even more awfulness in Slack. It's great. It's like it's curated awful.
It's fair to point out our verbal crutches and stuff. Like I say that seems like a fair take because that's a transitional phrase I use. I certainly have them. We talk, Josh. I mean, you talk for more hours a day than I do, or more hours a week. There are some things you just say just because like that's what comes out of your brain.
Oh, I mean, they've turned it into like drinking games and stuff for me. Especially on days where I'm doing like when I went through that stretch during like basketball season and baseball, where I was basically doing like 3 shows a day. I was repeating myself constantly. So they all started like a mini drinking game.
Also, sometimes like for me at least, when I want to disagree, but I've done my disagreeing, I just gotta go. That's a fair take. I think he actually might have pointed out too that Laffy has a similar phrase or some sort of spin on it. That's because we're just a couple people who host a lot.
Oh, Laffy hits a lot of I'll say this or one more thing. And it's always way more than one more thing. Like we all have our verbal tics. I mean, we talk constantly. You can't help it.
Yeah. It's, look, it's fun. It's fun that you have people who notice. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, you think about how many people that listen and just hear it over and over. It's probably super grating to most people.
Dr. Miles is getting butthurt. Sorry, man. It's hard. Not everybody can be content. You should just be a little listener, like some people out there want you to be. Talk a little less. Listen more.
LL Cool Jeff dropping the great Seinfeld reference.
Ooh.
Do you see YouTube chat right now?
No. People talking about Jalen Beeks.
Office hours for the boss man, Alex Osimo Baker, from 10 o'clock Eastern to 11 o'clock Eastern. So if you're not a premium member, you're missing out on an hour of chat with Osimo himself.
Yep, I would agree. Hold on.
I will actually be there and not asleep.
Yeah, that's a valuable thing. So yeah, 10. It's a late one, so be up, and that's right because you're doing a show producing right before that, right?
I am. I will be producing the Live Before Lock golf show with Ben Rasa and Jason Roslin tonight.
There we go.
And I can't wait.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled for golf content. It is a big week in golf too. I'm not keeping up with it that closely. I'm not a golf DFS guy, but Tiger Woods is an interesting thing. I'm just curious to see how that turns out. If he flames out hilariously, I think that'll be fun. And if he's great again,
0 Tiger Woods right now in 150 lineups.
I mean, the ownership, I'd assume, is going to be annoying.
Like 11% or something right now?
Really? That seems low.
Something in that neighborhood. It's golf. Nothing's high.
Okay, fair enough.
I would guess that no one's over 20, but if it is, it's like 1.
This guy just keeps talking. Just one last point, and this will be it. And honestly, I'll never mention you again. There is a difference between free content meant to appeal to new audiences and somebody who has an expertise in doing that over years of being online. But again, there's a reason some people are anonymous on a premium Slack and some people are here every day with their hair and their faces. Josh, what is your take on the combination of weed and alcohol? I thought that was going to be a real question.
Depends where I am and what I'm doing.
Tiger.
More
8%,
often than
yeah,
not, I
of course.
prefer the former. In rare cases, I prefer both. I rarely just prefer the latter.
Yep. Seems fair.
It all depends where I am.
All right. There's no relevant questions at this point. This is like Troll City now in the YouTube chat. Is this
Why
Bill
wouldn't it
Buttlicker? BB?
What?
Oh, somebody thinks you won 35K. That's why.
I wish.
That is in fact Shit My Money, who is not on this show right now.
Yeah, no 35K for me.
That'll be coming soon for you, I'm sure.
It will basically never be coming unless I qualify for a live final. I don't enter those tournaments.
First the mini max in the world.
Yeah, I everything I win, I just put back into live qualifiers.
All right, let's see. Nothing good.
The ROI chart so far this year is hilarious. GPPs makes it look like I'm the best player on the planet. Qualifier makes me look like I'm the worst.
That is, yeah, well, the qualifier game, I feel like I've heard people who are smarter about this stuff talk about where it's a lot of people chasing that entry point and then burning thousands and thousands of dollars to do it. And it seems like a slippery slope.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing.
As long as you're making enough money to balance it out, which you are. You're doing well with your stuff on the air, so you deserve it. You deserve to fail at qualifiers.
Oh, I mean, that's just my goal. Like I don't play DFS for a living. Like working for the website is my job. My wife does well, so I treat it as fun money. And anything that I win, I just throw it right back into like a high dollar live qualifier and hope that I can go hang out at a live event and take the wife and have like a couple day vacation for no money. But in this case, already invested thousands of dollars.
The important thing is you make that money last. That's all.
Super fun. Super fun. Shout out to TI. Shout out to the boss man too.
For punts, here's an actual baseball question from Jeremy in the YouTube chat. Would you go Nicky Lopez and Garrett Cooper or Defoe and Chris Taylor?
I guess Defoe and Chris Taylor because I think I have Defoe, but I mean, there are no answers to those questions. And I don't mean that in like a weird way, but there are no answers to that question. Like play both lineups. Just double whatever you were doing and play it again.
Yep. All right. No other good questions here. What's the most worrying you about your profile today? You're a guy who has a lot of diversity out there. You got some weird stacks going. You have less Houston in the field. Which of those are the things you feel like could go wrong the most?
Why is this not refreshing?
That could also be a problem, not being able to save your sheet.
My DK crunch is just not refreshing. It keeps putting Austin Hedges in, but he's not in the crunch. Like I can see that he's not in the crunch. I have to do this manually. 4 minutes. Every time I click refresh, it might be because the sheet's all jacked, but every time I click refresh, it just keeps giving me stupid Austin Hedges lineups.
I had a corrupted MLB sheet that I had to rebuild because whenever I copy pasted in lineups, it got random black dots in there, which would then, if I pasted over it, would crash the sheet. So whenever I tried to like update lineups, then from the place that I scraped from, it just kept crashing over and over again, which was very frustrating. And I can relate to your struggles.
Okay, now good.
There we go. Just pick the qualifier, Josh. It's not that hard, is what Jake says. And he is the baseball savant, so he is the one who would know that.
Did he really?
I don't know. No, he said you should just bink it, not that he has just.
I was like, damn, man. Like, how did you not tell me that?
Well, if he had known it would hurt you emotionally, then I'm sure he would have.
No, I'd be super happy for him.
Like publicly, you would be. Privately, you would seethe.
No, I would be happy in general. I thought he said I thought when you said it, he was like, I just binked the qualifier. I was like, shit, tell me that stuff.
No, he's just encouraging you to be your best self that you're capable of and do it.
Yeah, trust me, I'm trying. Once I bink another tournament, I'll jam it all back into a qualifier and hope for the best. Happened a couple times so far this year.
Brandon saying Waka has been trashed versus righties this season. Waka in general, not a guy who I have any interest in. I don't even know that we talked about any depth, but what's your Michael Waka exposure today?
3%.
Okay. So you're a triple the field then.
He's at 1, isn't he? Or 2?
0.5.
Oh,
so
I didn't update ownership or anything. I just, I have a little about. Finished with 91% Verlander.
Okay. That seems fair. It's not the slate to get
Padres are my number 3 stack right now. So
JD Martinez or Gallo for FanDuel. That's a one-off I could see people wanting. Which of those two would you go with?
FanDuel?
Yep.
Red Sox. I mean, I assume it's Gallo, but I have... this is all going to be broken. Gallo. Actually...
Yeah. No, don't go against my home run pick, please.
Well, I mean, JD's owned a bit less, but I mean, I prefer Gallo dollar for dollar.
All right. Yeah, I also like Gallo. I don't have as much JD Martinez. I just think that German Marquez is just good enough. German Marquez is good enough where I think I'm not dying to get there a ton, whereas Gallo's in a really good matchup versus a pitcher who really struggles versus lefties. So to me, that would be the tiebreaker.
Josh should donate money every time he says a bad joke. I would never donate a dime.
You'd at least be break even.
I would never donate a dime. I'm incredible at this.
Spags, who do you take in one FanDuel NBA showdown tonight? I'm not playing on FanDuel, but there is a man who can help you out with that. Fast Eddie Fear will be coming up. I think he's coming up today, I assume.
He is, 7:30.
Okay. All right, so coming up in 25 minutes, Fast Eddie Fear will be on this channel, giving you all the stuff you need. So go watch him. He'll be the one. I haven't even looked at my DK lineups, and I have to do that the second we finish. All right. And speaking of, we are locked. So please hit that like button on the way out. Use the promo code live before lock. Again, the night slate content we have on the site is as good as anything out there. The rankings, the projections, the ownership projections in particular, that's where you get an advantage for night slates. So check that out. Again, keep your eyes peeled as well for the channel Fast City Fear going live with NBA live before lock in 20 minutes. So I'll be giving you all the details you need to know, or maybe a little bit later, right? Because he said he's doing shorter shows. Whatever.
I think this one's going to full bore since it's game 1.
Okay, so he'll be live in 25 minutes on the dot or close to it. So go check the channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell when you go live or to know when we go live. And Josh, anything else you want to hit on before we call it quits?
No, best of luck, everybody. I'm going to go jam a pizza down my throat or something along those lines. And then I'll be back here producing the Live Before Lock PGA show with Ben and Jason starting at 9 o'clock. So if you want to get any of your PGA Championship tips in, 9 p.m. tonight on the Awesemo YouTube channel, you'll see a tweet as well. Come join us.
Cool. Yeah, so do that later on today. Prepare for the PGA. Those guys know it as much as anybody out there. And we'll be back again tomorrow with more content on the channel. So see you guys then. Good luck.
2, 3, 4.